You're walking through a snowy forest in Finland, your breath visible in the crisp air, your pale skin catching the faint sunlight filtering through the pines. You might think you're just another modern human, a product of a long journey out of Africa. But what if I told you that the blood coursing through your veins carries echoes of a far older story, one that ties you to the rugged, ice-adapted Neanderthals who roamed Europe 400,000 years ago? For over a century, we've been told that modern humans swept into Europe, wiped out the Neanderthals, and claimed the continent. But new science is flipping that narrative upside down. What if Northern Europeans, Finns, Balts, Scandinavians aren't just distant cousins of Neanderthals, but they're direct descendants? This isn't just a wild theory. It's a provocative idea backed by genetics, fossils, and a fresh look at our past. Today, we're diving into a story that challenges everything you thought you knew about human history. Stick with me, because by the end, you'll see yourself and your ancestors in a whole new light. This video isn't just about dusty bones or DNA percentages. It's about identity, survival, and the incredible resilience of our ancestors. We'll explore how Neanderthal genes shape the way you look, how you adapt to cold climates, and even how you think. We'll meet real people whose lives reflect this ancient legacy and uncover why this story matters in 2025, when debates about human origins are more heated than ever. So grab a warm drink, settle in, and let's unravel the Neanderthal in you. For decades, anthropology textbooks painted a clear picture around 40,000 years ago. Modern humans, Homo sapiens, marched out of Africa, spread across Europe, and replaced the Neanderthals, a supposedly primitive species. Neanderthals were portrayed as stooped, brutish, and doomed, unable to compete with our smarter, more adaptable ancestors. This replacement hypothesis became gospel, shaping how we viewed human evolution. But here's the problem: it's too neat, too simplistic. Science thrives on questioning assumptions, and recent discoveries are tearing this story apart. The replacement narrative feels like a convenient way to elevate modern humans as the ultimate victors, ignoring the messy, beautiful reality of our past. When I first learned about Neanderthals in school, I pictured cavemen grunting in caves, outmatched by sleek, spear-wielding sapiens. But that image doesn't hold up. Neanderthals were sophisticated, they made tools, buried their dead, and possibly even created art. They weren't losers in the game of survival, they were players in a complex dance of adaptation. So why did we buy into the idea that they vanished without a trace? A part of it is bias. Early scientists wanted a clean break between us and them. But as genetic testing and fossil analysis have advanced, we're seeing a different picture. Neanderthals didn't disappear. They became part of us. Let's break down the evidence. Genetic studies show that Europeans carry 1.5–2.5% Neanderthal DNA on average. That might sound small, but it's not about quantity, it's about impact. These genes influence traits like skin color, hair texture, and immune responses, especially in Northern Europe. Fossils, too, tell a story of coexistence, not conquest. Sites like Grotte du Mandrin in France reveal that Neanderthals and modern humans lived side by side, sometimes in the same caves, for centuries. A human tooth found between Neanderthal layers dated over 50,000 years ago suggests they weren't just neighbors, they were mingling. This isn't a story of winners and losers, it's a story of connection. Neanderthals and Homo sapiens didn't just coexist, they interbred, creating hybrids who shaped modern Europeans. Geneticists have identified specific Neanderthal-derived genes that are common in Europeans, especially in the north. For example, the SLC24A5 and SLC45A2 genes linked to pale skin are tied to Neanderthal ancestry. These genes helped early Europeans absorb vitamin D in low sunlight environments, a crucial adaptation during the Ice Age. Similarly, the OCA2 and HERT2 genes, which influence eye color, carry Neanderthal variants that contribute to blue and green eyes. The MC1R gene, responsible for red or blonde hair, also has Neanderthal roots. These traits aren't random, they're survival tools honed by millennia of natural selection in Europe's harsh climate. But it's not just about looks. Neanderthal DNA also affects immune system strength, pain sensitivity, and even psychological traits like social withdrawal. In northern populations, Finns, Balts, Estonians, these traits are more pronounced. Why? Geography and isolation. During the Ice Age, Northern Europe was a fortress of ice and tundra. Populations in places like Finland and the Baltic region faced genetic bottlenecks concentrating Neanderthal genes. Unlike southern Europe, where later migrations from the Mediterranean and Near East diluted these traits, the North remained a genetic time capsule. Take La Chapelle-aux-Salins, a Neanderthal skeleton from France dated around 50,000 years ago. For years, scientists misrepresented him as stooped and ape-like, but he likely walked upright with a brain larger than the modern human average. On 620 cc, his skeleton shows signs of arthritis, not primitiveness. La Pharisee-1, another Neanderthal from the same period, was buried in a stone-lined pit with a skull blending Neanderthal robustness and modern traits like a higher cranial vault. These individuals weren't archaic holdouts. They were hybrids living at the same time early modern humans entered Europe. Their descendants, carrying a mix of Neanderthal and sapiens genes, survived the Ice Age's brutal conditions. Contrast this with archaic Neanderthals like Thorin from Grotte-Mandrin. Thorin's genome recently sequenced shows no modern human DNA, a pure Neanderthal who belonged to a lineage that went extinct. Meanwhile, fossils like Vindija and Oase-1, dated 40,000 years ago, show clear hybrid traits: rounder skulls, smaller noses, and up to 9% Neanderthal DNA. These hybrids weren't dead ends, they were ancestors. My analysis, the replacement hypothesis, ignores this blending. It's not that sapiens wiped out Neanderthals, it's that Neanderthals and sapiens merged, creating a new kind of human uniquely suited to Europe. Skeptics might argue that 2% Neanderthal DNA is too small to matter. But think of it like a recipe. A pinch of spice can transform a dish. These genes were selected for because they gave hybrids an edge-pale skin for vitamin D, robust builds for hunting immune systems for cold weather pathogens. In Northern Europe, where isolation amplified these traits, the Neanderthal legacy is unmistakable. Finns, for instance, carry unique genetic markers like mitochondrial haplogroups U5 and V tied to Ice Age hunter-gatherers. These aren't recent imports, they're relics of hybrid ancestors who thrived in a frozen world. Let's meet some people whose lives reflect this ancient ancestry. First, there's Anna, a 32-year-old teacher from Helsinki, Finland. Anna has pale skin, blonde hair, and striking blue eyes, classic Northern European traits. Growing up, she always felt a deep connection to Finland's rugged landscapes, spending winters cross-country skiing and summers foraging in forests. When Anna took a DNA test, she learned she carries a high proportion of Neanderthal variants, particularly those linked to light pigmentation and immune strength. It was wild to think part of me comes from people who lived through ice ages, she says. Anna's story isn't unique. Many Finns share this genetic profile, a testament to their ancestors' survival in a subarctic climate. Then there's Jonas, a fisherman from Estonia's Baltic coast. At 6'2", with a broad face and deep-set eyes, Jonas looks like he could step out of a prehistoric painting. His family has lived in the same coastal village for generations, enduring harsh winters and short summers. Jonas's DNA test revealed Neanderthal genes tied to robust bone structure and cold weather adaptation. My grandfather always said we were built for this land, Jonas laughs. His wide nasal bridge and strong jawline echo fossils like La Pharisee-1, a reminder that Neanderthal traits persist in the Baltic region's isolated communities. These stories aren't just anecdotes, they're living proof of hybrid ancestry. In 2023, a study of 1,000 Baltic and Scandinavian individuals found that Neanderthal-derived traits like light skin and stocky builds are 30% more common in these populations than in southern Europe. This makes sense. Finland and the Baltics were cut off by ice sheets and forests preserving Neanderthal genes, while southern Europe mixed with Neolithic farmers and steppe nomads. I find this fascinating because it shows how environment shapes identity. Anna and Jonas aren't just products of history, they're walking links to a 100,000-year-old legacy. The Sami people of northern Scandinavia. The Sami, indigenous to Finland, Sweden, and Norway, have a unique genetic profile with elevated Neanderthal ancestry. Their traditional lifestyle, reindeer herding, fishing, and living in harmony with the Arctic, mirrors the adaptability of Neanderthal hybrids. Sami oral traditions speak of ancient ones who lived in the mountains clad in skins and wielding bone tools. Could these be echoes of Neanderthal ancestors? While speculative, the genetic data is clear. The Sami carry Neanderthal variants at higher frequencies, than most Europeans, particularly for traits like cold resistance and vitamin D absorption. These real-life connections make the science relatable. When I first read about Neanderthal DNA, it felt abstract numbers and genes. But meeting people like Anna Jonas and the Sami through research and interviews brought it home. Their features, their resilience, their connection to the land, it's all part of a story that stretches back to the Ice Age. It's not just about fossils, it's about us. So why has the replacement narrative persisted? Part of it is inertia. Science is slow to change. But there's also a cultural angle. The idea of Neanderthals as lesser humans fits a colonial mindset that ranks populations by perceived progress. Early anthropologists working in the 19th and 20th centuries were influenced by these biases, portraying Neanderthals as savage and extinct. Even today, some institutions cling to the replacement hypothesis, downplaying evidence of hybridization. For example, older studies claimed Neanderthals had only dark hair and eyes, ignoring newer data on MC1R and OCA2 variants that prove otherwise. This bothers me because it's not just about science, it's about truth. Misrepresenting Neanderthal pigmentation isn't a neutral error. It's a way to distance modern Europeans from their indigenous roots. By claiming light skin and blue eyes emerged only 10,000 years ago, with farming, some narratives erase the deeper ancestry tied to Neanderthal hybrids. But the evidence is clear. SLC24A5, a light-skinned gene, appeared in European hunter-gatherers 20,000 years ago, rooted in Neanderthal ancestry. Blue-eye variants tied to OCA2 date back 42,000 years to the Caucasus, where Neanderthals and sapiens interbred for 7,000 years. Another myth is that Neanderthals were extinct, not ancestral. But fossils like Vindija and Oase1 show hybrid traits, and their DNA lives on in every European. The claim that Neanderthal DNA is diluted misses the point. Its quality, not quantity, matters. Genes like BNC2 linked to freckling and light skin are carried by 70% of Europeans, a direct Neanderthal contribution. These myths persist because they serve a narrative of human progress, but they crumble under scrutiny. My perspective, we need to let the evidence speak. Science isn't about ideology, it's about following the data. By embracing the Neanderthal legacy, we're not diminishing modern humans. We're celebrating the diversity and resilience of our ancestors. Northern Europeans, especially Finns and Balts, carry this legacy most vividly. Their pale faces and robust builds a bridge to the past. This story isn't just about rewriting history, it's about understanding who we are. Recognizing Neanderthal ancestry challenges shallow narratives of human origins. It shows that our evolution wasn't a straight line, but a tangled web of adaptation and survival. In Northern Europe, where Finns and Balts preserve Neanderthal traits, we see the power of environment and isolation in shaping identity. Their subarctic home, with its dim winters and brutal cold, favored the same traits Neanderthals developed. 400,000 years ago, light-skinned, stocky builds, resilient immune systems. This matters in 2025 because debates about ancestry and identity are fraught. Some fear that linking Europeans to Neanderthals reinforces outdated stereotypes, but I see it differently. It's about honoring a deep indigenous connection to Europe forged in ice and shadow. Neanderthals weren't others, they were us, their genes woven into our story. By acknowledging this, we gain a richer, more accurate picture of our past. It also has practical implications. Neanderthal genes influence health, immune responses, pain sensitivity, even mental health. Understanding these contributions could improve medical research, especially for Northern Europeans. For example, a 2024 study found that Neanderthal-derived immune genes help Finns resist cold weather infections, a legacy of Ice Age survival. This isn't just history, it's biology. So what's the lesson? Your ancestry is deeper than you think. Whether you're from Finland, Estonia, or anywhere else, you carry traces of Neanderthals, not as relics of extinction, but as gifts of survival. Their pale skin helped you thrive in low sunlight. Their robust builds helped you endure cold. Their genes shaped your identity, your health, your connection to the land. This story challenges us to rethink human history not as a tale of replacement, but as a saga of integration and resilience. Next time you look in the mirror, see the Neanderthal in you. If you have light skin, blue eyes, or a sturdy frame, you're carrying a legacy that stretches back 100,000 years. Honor it by embracing the complexity of your roots. And if you're curious, take a DNA test, explore your heritage, or visit a museum to see Neanderthal fossils up close. Their story is your story. Thanks for watching. If this video opened your eyes, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who'd love to learn about their hidden ancestry. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments. What's your take on the Neanderthal legacy? See you in the next video where we'll uncover more secrets of our past.